This is an Audio Wool original.
This episode of Frightday is brought to you by Spring-Heeled Jack Coffee. You need great coffee. Jack delivers. Visit springhieldjack.coffee.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/frightday.
Let's start our show.
Yeah, can we stop and start so we don't have 45 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the moment it all went wrong. Byron here from the Edit Bay to say what you just heard was the point when Kelly was supposed to press record at the Red Room studio. She did not do that. So once again, we're stuck with the lesser quality audio that I have on my end, but there's a point where she realizes and does press record. You'll hear that. But apologies again for the... I'm just sorry. I'm sorry. So here we are. We reset. Good.
Reset McGillicuddy.
Oh, God.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Please don't do Family Guy on the show. I have one request. Please don't.
God, I watched Logan Lucky again.
It is Frightday. I'm your host, Byron, and I'm not wearing any pants.
Why? I'm wearing pants.
Because I don't have to. Due to the magic of teleconferencing technology, apps like Zoom and FaceTime have allowed us to keep the show going during this pandemic, but there are some things you simply shouldn't do remotely, like have a séance.
Oh, yeah. No.
We'll talk about that as we review Rob.
Do that. Just for the record, everyone, I don't think you should do that in person either.
And we'll talk more about that as we review Rob Savage's Host and James Dean, David Bowie, Brittany Murphy, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Famous people die all the time. They're just like us. Sometimes opportunities arise to chat with them from the other side. It's the seance to contact the spirit of Diana in this week's edition of Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies. I'm joined this morning, I'm not going to lie, by Kelly.
Hello.
Got coffee in hand, and Sam can't make it because he's drinking some in the other room.
Yes.
So I assisted in 0 crimes this week.
Yeah, have the police called you yet?
No,
It's so weird to me that they haven't.
No, they don't care what I have to say. Not one bit.
Well, I mean, I can understand that in one sense, but I really feel like you were way over-involved in that situation. They should have talked to you about it.
I wasn't. I actually got in a spirited conversation in a local police Facebook group.
Oh, did you?
Well, some person was alleging a conspiracy theory. He's like, the internet was down when this person was doing this. Coincidence? So I kind of went off and told
Oh my God,
story.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he said, what's the coincidence that internet goes down and crime happens in Missoula? All the web-based cameras cannot record. Who has their hand on the web lever? Implying that maybe this guy was an Antifa.
Are you, what?
Yeah, I quickly shut him down. He didn't even respond. So that's good. I guess that's as good as it gets.
What does that even mean?
I told the whole story, but also I said, I was the guy in the black car seen in the picture talking to the guy on the bike. This has nothing to do with the internet. Also, don't be a weird conspiracy boomer. You're better than that.
Be better, boomer? That's what you said?
Yeah, basically. But what have you been up to?
Let's see. What's going on over here? We did some really good stargazing the other night. There was a hell of a meteor shower, those Perseids.
Best of the year. How was it?
It was real good. We saw like 6 shooting stars in like the hour that we were laying out there.
Kelly, I miss the Red Room. I know it's just 7 miles away out of town in the mountains, but you guys get meteors out there? I'm in the city. I can't see shit.
Yeah, we get lots of meteors. We also get bears.
Oh, yeah?
We get foxes.
Oh, all right.
The foxes were
Okay.
screaming last night. Do you remember last year, or maybe it was the year before,
It was
when there was
last
that
year.
horrible... Okay, yeah. Now I hear the fox noise outside, and I don't think it's a child dying.
Yeah, you know it's a fox.
I'm like, oh, hey, foxy, 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 fox.
Well, you know what? Something did happen to me.
Oh, no, what happened?
The day after the publication of our episode exposing the Watcher, I came out my door the next morning to drop my girlfriend off at her coffee shop job. It was still dark, and I stumbled into something. I opened the door. There was 2 boxes with a note attached.
Happy B-Day. Now bring back the young blood to play me.
And it's a note saying love 657, and it's attached to a board game, which was apparently given to me as a early birthday present from the Watcher himself. And I just want to say thanks for watching out for me, and thanks for the board game and the remote control BattleBots set.
It was a bit of an early birthday gift.
It was.
Yes.
It was, weeks ahead. But, the Watcher, when he gets the opportunity, doesn't wait. Or else he'd be known as the waiter.
That's true. Very
I
cool.
appreciate the present and the watching, I suppose. I imagine he's going to be out there for a while. But on that note, I watched some things. Keep that segue going. It's time for staff picks.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it.
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
So before I give my actual staff pick, I do want to give a shout out to a film I watched, She Dies Tomorrow, directed by one of my favorite mumble ladies, Amy Seimetz, who directed a couple years ago a film called Sun Don't Shine, which I really enjoy. It's a great little character study about some murderers on the run. But Amy Seimetz, known mostly as an actress, she was in AMC's The Killing. She was most recently in the Pet Sematary remake, as well as Alien Covenant before that. This film is great.
Hi. How's the new house?
Good. Can you come over?
I can't. Are you okay?
I am going to die tomorrow.
What is going on?
There is no tomorrow for me.
All right, listen, Amy, I'm really freaking out right now.
I feel like you put this idea of dying in my head. Can you just call me back?
You expecting someone?
Hello, Jane.
You okay?
I just have this feeling I'm going to die tomorrow.
But how do you know?
I just know. Okay, so you don't know.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
I just thought for a second when the lights went out that was it.
A lot of my favorite people, Jane Addams, Caitlin Shale. Also, Adam Wingard has a small role in it, and a great actor named Kentucker Audley, who actually runs something called No Budge, which releases indie shorts weekly. He does a really great job of supporting the film community. So check out this film. It's some people call it a dark comedy. Some people call it a horror film. I just call it entertaining, fun, and good. So check that out. The film that I want to highlight this week, however, I don't think it would be a surprise at all to folks who know me. It's Unfriended before Unfriended. It's the Monitor horror masterpiece, The Den.
Hey!
Hello.
Hello. Do you come on here a lot? Are you guys in school? Hey, oh my god, you're on a bike.
I'm on my bike.
Yeah! I think that I just witnessed a murder.
They want you to watch. They want to see your reaction.
Are you sure this isn't a friend of yours playing a prank?
Okay, now I get so confused, Byron, because I've watched some of these, but I haven't watched others. Do you know off the top of your head have I watched this one?
If you've seen The Den, tell me if this sounds familiar. A young woman studying the habits of webcam chat users, basically chat roulette, from the apparent safety of her apartment, witness a brutal murder online and is quickly immersed in a nightmare in which she and her loved ones are targeted for the same grisly fate as the first victims. It's a bizarre slasher / monitor horror film. It's slightly supernatural. I think you've seen it, but if you haven't, I think you really should, because it did kick off the genre.
I can't tell if I saw it. This is very frustrating.
I bet it is. Way back in 2013, IFC Midnight put it out. I really like this film. For people who like Unfriended and Elijah Wood's Open Windows is another example. Check this out. It's really underrated. I watched it last year again because my girlfriend had not seen it and she was very impressed. It is a startling, mean film. Absolutely check it out.
I trust it more if she liked it, so.
What's the marriage when you've just kind of lived with a person for 10 years?
Oh, common law.
I have a common law degree in horror at this point. You should be trusting me. Come on, Kelly. I'm the editor-in-chief of Frightday.com.
And a good editor-in-chief you are, but I find myself, it's not like your horror taste is wrong. It just doesn't always align with mine.
That's very true.
It's wrong, Byron.
I got an eclectic taste. But Kelly, what do you got?
My staff pick, and Byron, if you try and argue with me that this isn't horror.
What you gonna do?
I will tell you that if this isn't horror, then Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer isn't horror either.
All right, what you got?
Classic film, starring one of my favorite actors. And I actually revisited it this week because I watched Vice for the first time. Sam and I were a little bit behind. We finally watched Vice.
It's very great.
But God, Christian Bale is just like the best actor ever.
Incredible.
I mean, he's amazing. And so I revisited American Psycho.
I'll allow it.
He is so good in that movie. To think about how quickly he transformed. Like, this was only a couple of years after he did Newsies. He just flipped it. So, first of all, Bret Easton Ellis is one of my favorite authors. Definitely a messed up kind of writing. Always books that make me feel icky and creepy. And so I have to digest them slowly. He's really quite brilliant. American Psycho stands up. It really does. Like, holds up, I guess is the phrase I'm looking for.
That's the common one, yeah.
I revisit it every couple of years. It is darkly hilarious. It carries even more poignant, in my opinion, messages these days because of how shitty and terrible and awful everything in the world is.
What you talking about? Come on.
And if you really want to have a great evening, I suggest a double feature. Watch this one first and then go watch Rules of Attraction, which is tangentially, it's in the same universe. Incredible characters that seem so far-fetched and fictionalized, and yet the more I watch it, the more I feel like I know people like this everywhere. And it's very scary. Some scenes that are offensive, although for those of you who have read the book American Psycho, it's very toned down from the book. Very, very, very toned down, because the book has things that you just couldn't even make into a movie without it getting like an X rating. It brought up the fact that I haven't listened to any of Bret Easton Ellis's podcasts in a long time, so I probably need to jump back on there. I don't even know if he's still recording. I'm hoping he is. But yeah, it's a good social commentary. It is truly a dark comedy. I mean, we're not talking as fun and lighthearted as What We Do in the Shadows, but it is a dark comedy.
I feel like a lot of people have seen this film, Kelly.
A lot of people haven't.
Really? Well, I guess
you wouldn't believe how many people I talk to that haven't.
Well, and especially the younger generation. Okay, we have younger listeners. Yeah,
we're cool.
We're hip. You're talking about the Bret Easton Ellis podcast, which did stop 2017. Still haven't listened to it. It ended 3 years ago.
Why did he stop doing it? What is he doing now?
I don't know. He's probably doing what he's meant to be doing, which is making films.
No, he writes books.
Well, I
he
guess,
doesn't make films.
You're right. You're absolutely right. He's a writer. I apologize.
That's okay.
Well, check that out, I guess.
I know I can rewatch movies more than your average bear, but this is one that I feel like most people can probably rewatch. It's worth a peek at least every couple of years, just to go back and see, okay, yeah, this used to seem outlandish. It's not really so outlandish anymore.
From American Psycho to British Psychics.
I like it because Christian Bale's British too, so it works.
I guess that's true. In this week's edition of Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies.
Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies.
August 31st, 1997. Lit by the glow of a foot-thick TV, laying sideways on the floor of my aunt and uncle's house in Lincoln, Montana, I struggled to sleep. Morning faces on CNN had my delicate self praying for morning. Did I know who Diana, Princess of Wales, was? Not really. Did that stop me from crying like a little baby all night? Absolutely not. 4,753 miles away in the City of Lights, Paris, France, an erratically driven Mercedes S280 going upwards of 70 miles per hour over double the posted speed limit had crashed into a pillar in a tunnel under the Alma Bridge at around midnight.
There is no news of her condition, and as yet the report is unconfirmed. It's also reported that a passenger in the princess's car was killed.
Henry Paul, the driver, and Dodi Fayed, 41, son of an Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed, the former owner of Harrod's department store, died on the scene. Trevor Reese Jones, a bodyguard in the passenger seat, survived, but was never the same, forced to have his entire face reconstructed, 150 titanium pieces inserted into his face. He didn't have his seatbelt on because apparently when you are a bodyguard, you don't buckle up because you have a limited range of motion at that point. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, weird.
Diana, Princess of Wales, initially survived the crash. She wasn't wearing her seatbelt either. She did not have the excuse of having to be actively armed and protecting the well-being of a person. She was taken to a nearby hospital where she later succumbed to her injuries.
Normal programming has been suspended. And we now join Martin Lewis in the news studio.
This is BBC Television from London. Diana, Princess of Wales, has died after a car crash in Paris. The French government announced her death just before 5 o'clock this morning. Buckingham Palace confirmed the news shortly afterwards. Normal programs have been suspended while we bring you the latest developments throughout the morning.
She was only 36 years old. Whether or not the driver, Henry Paul, was drunk and or high on drugs or antidepressants while he was at the wheel, that it was the fault of aggressively tailing paparazzi looking for a photo op, or MI6 had a hand in it, that's not why we're here tonight. Although...
Okay. It may not be why we're here, but it is interesting. And at some point, we probably should
it would make a great series. There's so many conspiracies surrounding this.
Right. We've got... Supposedly, the British royal family was really upset because she was dating a Muslim. There's a rumor that she was carrying his baby. One of the cars involved in the crash was never located or interviewed. There were a ton of people that were witnesses that were not interviewed by the police.
There's no CCTV camera footage of what happened. Flashes that may or may not have been paparazzi.
Yeah, there's a bunch of very strange stuff. It's basically like the modern British JFK. Yeah.
6 years after the tragic events, with investigations in the rear view, people still had questions. And with the help of some psychic specialists, the People's Princess was set to speak again during a March 23rd, 2003 pay-per-view event.
A worldwide seance to contact the spirit of Diana. Be there as we reach out to the other side. Live from London, a worldwide seance to contact Princess Diana. She was the most photographed person in the world. She mesmerized the world with her style, grace, and glamour. But there was another side of Diana, her spiritual side. Unrehearsed, uncensored, unscripted, unprecedented. Some of the world's most respected psychic mediums joined the largest gathering of Diana's closest friends and confidants since her tragic death. In the London and Paris locations that most deeply touched Diana's life, places where her spirit now lingers. Finally, answers to the unanswered questions. It will be unforgettable. The seance to contact Diana. What will be revealed?
You gotta love those lasers.
Do you happen to know what the original price was on this pay-per-view event, Byron?
It was $14.95 or $14.99. I can't remember.
I would have been so pissed.
All right. We'll get into that. Kelly, at this point, I would like to take responsibility for this episode. We went back and forth
thanks, B.
for a while trying to figure out what the topic of this seance-based episode was going to be. I stumbled into this pay-per-view event that took place in the early 2000s. It intrigued me, and I found that it was still available for us to watch, and not many people had talked about it. So I wanted to get to the bottom of what happened, because I have a genuine interest in these sorts of pay-per-view live TV events. This wasn't necessarily live, but there's something about it. Like every year we watch WNUF Halloween special, or there's also Ghost Watch. There's all these sorts of special events. And even back then, pay-per-view was really, really interesting because it was the only way that people could do these sorts of special things.
Yeah.
I find it very intriguing.
I also think that, and we talked about this, it would be reasonable based on the things that I enjoy for you to assume that I had an interest in the royal family.
That's another good point, yeah.
And so you probably picked it thinking I would be intrigued by that.
You're a pop culture girl, yeah.
Hate the royal family stuff. I am so annoyed by it. I don't pay attention to the weddings. It's this weird, archaic... and I hope I'm sure I'm offending people. I'm sorry for offending people.
Why would you
really? Well, because we have a lot of listeners over the pond.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just feels like the Kardashians to me, except it's given like this sense of legitimacy, where at least like the Kardashians, everybody knows that it's bullshit. Cool. This feels like it has way too much legitimacy. It's always bothered me, and I kind of felt like I don't know. I also just don't think Princess Diana was that pretty.
Okay, that doesn't even matter, Kelly. Why do you do this
I know it
every
doesn't.
time?
It's just because people obsess over like how perfect and gorgeous she was, and I'm like, she's just
fine.
a person.
She's an attractive lady. There's nothing wrong with her, and she did a lot of great humanitarian things. And we're gonna get into maybe why
I'll
she
give her
did
that for sure.
This is a really interesting event. It's hosted by a guy named Patrick McKoy.
Thank you for joining us for the Spirit of Diana, an exceptional tribute to the English Rose, who was so sadly taken from us on August the 31st, 1997. Tonight, we will explore the fascination that Princess Diana had all her life in the world of psychic phenomena, her intense belief in the spirit world and in her own power as a healer.
Yeah, what did he do before this?
Well, you may recognize him, and I do highlight the may because I have no idea who this guy is. He played Dr. George Wagner in The Howling, which I still have yet to see.
I can't wait to tell Sam that. It's a good movie. It's a good one.
He also played Dr. Walton in the series Nightman from 1997 to 1999.
Dayman Cometh?
That's funny. This is a different gentleman named Nightman who... I've never heard of this. It seems amazing. After lightning strikes saxophonist Johnny Domino, he finds he is telepathically turned to the frequency of evil. This gives him an edge for finding the bad guy, and some special classified wearable gear gives him an edge for fighting them. So he's basically a psychic Batman, which...
a musical...
Yeah,
psychic Batman
playing a saxophone with a fedora, probably a metal-edged fedora he could use as a weapon.
So now I'm just picturing sexy sax man wearing a Batman outfit.
Yeah, fighting crime.
He
also is the voice of E.B. Hungerford in the 1990 series Superforce.
It is the year 2020, and the world has changed.
An astronaut becomes a vigilante when he returns from a mission to learn his cop brother's been murdered. This guy, there's something about him that gave me a feeling of credibility, but after looking through his IMDb, this guy is just out of control.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the British accent that makes you think that he's...
Yeah, it's true. Maybe if we had more experience in dissecting British accents, we would be able to not be affected by that, but... He's not the only gentleman taking part in this. There's a guy named Andrew Morton.
Author of Diana, Her True Story.
Which he had a really great quote I want to bring up real quick. He said that
Diana, the person, was very different from Diana the image. The image was this very glossy, glamorous individual. Well, she was. But the Diana in private was someone who would wake up in the morning full of beans and then by lunchtime feeling very down.
Diana would wake up full of beans.
What does that mean?
I think it means that she woke up happy, excited,
gassy?
and Then
God.
there was Simone Simmons, a psychic healer and teacher, who said that Diana is very connected to that...
the spirit world.
When I first met Diana, she was at an all-time low, and she really desperately needed healing, and I was there to give it for her. One of the first things Diana asked me to do when I went to Kensington Palace was to do a clearance there, which was to get rid of all the bad energies and the dross, the emotional dross that was hanging around, and any bad spirits that might have been lurking in odd corners.
She also said that she was the one who was responsible for teaching Diana how to heal.
Diana's natural curiosity and perhaps her natural abilities led her to seek out Simone's help in developing her own healing skills.
One day we were talking about everything, and she said to me, I wish I could heal. I said, but you can. And she said, okay, teach me. Then after that, I said to her, it's going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of discipline.
Yeah, can I just inject real quick that all the people involved in this seance seem to be full of shit and pretty distantly connected.
Yeah, right off the
Princess
bat.
Di.
I think we're going to be doing this quite a bit today. We're not just saving our debunking thoughts for the end. This is going to be peppered throughout.
Yeah. There's just no way we could.
I mean, Penny's saying that all these pictures of Diana touching people's hands or heads were her actually attempting to heal. Come on, guys. Like, so many people touch heads and hands in a pre-corona time. I don't think that everyone's trying to heal people, and I don't think Penny knows Diana well enough or as well as she claims to know her. I think that she was busy doing other things, like actually being a humanitarian, not just trying to psychically heal people.
True. That does seem true. That seems true.
Tell me what you think of Unog Shandy Tofolo, the nun turned nurse turned acupuncturist and spiritual advisor.
I suppose my life was a very full one. My aspiration was always to go on a missions and to go to India or to go to China, somewhere anywhere. And when I met acupuncture for the first time, I was absolutely, this is the end of my journey. I had all my life been looking for something which would rule out drugs and go back to a natural way of living, because as a child I had learned all those natural things from my father, and along the way I found that they were no longer available or used.
Yeah, right. I think that they're like, let's get an old lady in here. She seems believable.
I guess so.
Yeah, she's not lying. She was a nun. You're going to say a nun is lying?
Yeah, British folks seem to trust old white women a lot, so.
But the star of the show, a husband and wife psychic team, Craig and Jane Hamilton Parker.
They suck.
Okay. Craig Hamilton Parker, he's a British author, TV personality, and professional psychic medium, best known for Our Psychic Family. And did you get a chance to watch this at all?
Oh, no, but I did look at the cover pictures for it and read like 30 seconds about it.
The Hamilton Parkers are like any other British family, except they're all psychic.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Okay. There's Dad Craig, Mum Jane, and daughters Celeste and Danielle.
This girl even wanted me to buy a coffin, and this is for real, to sleep in.
And for them, it's perfectly normal to communicate with the dead.
I see a blue spirit light, and I'm drawn to a particular email.
We're just ordinary people with something special.
Yes, I do see dead people, and I do talk to them.
Meet the Psychic Family.
They have posted all episodes of this on the internet. To me, it reminds me of, it's basically if you took the Warrens and the Osbournes and kind of smashed them together.
Yeah, and gave them less credibility.
Absolutely.
Like, less than either of those groups.
Well, I don't know. Craig actually has a pretty good reputation. So he started off as a financial executive.
Oh, Lord.
He left that world to become a psychic because he discovered...
Also, P.S., if you're a financial executive, you understand finance, and you're a psychic, why wouldn't you be a billionaire?
Good question. That makes a lot of sense. He also does a lot of work in dream interpretation. I think that's mostly what he does here. He had a TV show called The Hidden Meaning of Dreams. He wrote a book called The Hidden Meaning of Dreams, then hosted a TV show called Nightmares Decoded, because Dreams Decoded probably didn't have as much of a...
I am always trying to get our psychiatrist to interpret my dreams, and he refuses to, Byron.
And the first episode of that show did feature Dustin Diamond, Screech from Saved by the Bell, but his story is interesting, and I'll be brief with it. He claims to be a bit of a prophet as well as a medium. He predicted correctly the terrorist attack in Nice, France, Brexit, and the election of Donald Trump.
Has he said if he's getting reelected?
You know, I haven't heard yet. I didn't see his predictions for 2020, but I did find a list of his predictions for 2017, which were pretty interesting. He said a kidnap and assassination attempt at the Vatican on the Pope with Swiss guards being killed, but didn't happen. A ancient giant squid was going to be discovered in Egypt, frozen in ice. Bad maintenance is going to be responsible for a large fire at the House of Parliament. I don't believe that happened.
No, I don't think so either.
America is going to be divided politically between East and West, with gun crimes and rioting soaring. I don't think he understands the whole East-West United States thing. I think maybe it's like
funny.
East, like the coast versus the middle. But
Was he just talking about Tupac and Biggie, or what was that?
he was really into gangster rap at the time, yeah.
Totally fair.
A release of unsavory documents regarding Hillary Clinton that would cause her to resign from politics. I think she just did that on her own, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she really resigned from anything.
I mean, you could call the release of her book What Happened unsavory documents, but I guess she self-released those, and it was just kind of boring and not good. He did guess, though, in 2017 that a flu epidemic would spread worldwide.
Yeah, but everybody's been guessing that for a long time.
Yeah, every year. You have some feelings about Jane.
Yeah, can I talk about her for a minute?
Yeah.
She sucks. Okay, so first of all, she sucks. She's really bad, and she wasn't even good at guessing things with these people. But then let's also just talk about the people that she has around the table. So the idea is that she's going to channel Diana.
Wait. Before you do that, we've got 3 seances that we're looking forward to talking about today.
In the ancient halls of the Stationers' Guild within the shadow of St. Paul's Cathedral, we will meet British psychic mediums Jane and Craig Hamilton Parker. They will hold 2 individual seances in an attempt to contact the spirit world.
They do 2 separate seances. The
Yeah,
first,
Jane's they're both bad, but Jane's is first, and it's the worst.
Jane has just arrived at the hall to conduct the first of our 2 London seances. We have instructed Jane to arrive just moments before the seance is to begin, to ensure that she has never met any of the people who are sitting at the seance table. She's making her way to the seance room. Jane is greeting the people at the table for the very first time now.
So she has 3 people around the table, okay? People that knew Diana.
One of them did not. Then there was Tom Corby, who was a royal correspondent, Philip Godfrey Knight, who had they wouldn't elaborate, but got a surprise visit from Diana.
In hospice. He was in hospice. And so he met her once when she visited him in hospice, and then he didn't die, okay? And then we've got this other woman who met her once at a freaking orphanage in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that was Lynn Francis. She's the founder of an AIDS center in Zimbabwe.
Which, great. Very nice thing. That's awesome that she did that. But, if Princess Diana is going to come through to talk for the first time since she died,
why is
she's going to come talk to these people that she literally met once? That would be like, okay, I shook Obama's hand when he was at a rally here.
Did you really?
If he were to pass away, yeah, I did. If he were to pass away, and I went to some seance, was like, no, trust me, he's going to want to talk to me.
I mean, the most you would say is, yeah,
come through.
Good handshake, soft hand. Yeah, thanks for your support.
It's just so stupid. What? Why?
All right,
Why do we have these people around the table? And also, all of the stupid things that she's talking about that, I'm hearing this, and the spirit world.
Philip, can I take your hand, please? You've got a lovely hand. I love touching your hand.
That's creepy, yeah.
Who's Mark? Who's Mark? Don't make anything fit. Just be yourself, because she's talking about Mark.
It would have been a friend.
Right. Somebody died in your arms, because Diana, I don't know why she's showing me, but there's somebody that died in your arms. And I feel there's been a passing, and I feel somebody's passed over less than 9 months. Would you understand that, please?
No.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, because they're saying yes. Okay, let me just see. Because time's nothing in the spirit world. It's everything here. Everything here. All right. Why are they showing me a lighthouse, the spirit part?
I can't think.
What is Brighton? What is
Brighton? I used to live in Brighton.
You know what the lighthouse is. That's what Diana's saying to me. He knows. Because I don't know where the hell you come from. She's just saying
No,
that.
I lived in Brighton.
It's
like a Saturday Night Live skit. It's so bad.
Well, they're doing a lot of cold reading. They're very good.
She's not.
Well,
she's shitty at cold reading.
She did a couple pretty good guesses. Like
no,
Lind, the founder of that AIDS center, spoke most during these interactions, which is just hilarious because, like you said, she did only talk to her one time.
Oh my God.
Jane knew that Lind was sick.
Also, rest in peace. She died about a decade ago.
No, really?
Lind did.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. Well, rest in peace. Guessed that Philip, that he had stopped drinking recently. And I think at this point she may have forgot, I guess, the point of what the seance was, and she just fell into her normal cold reading shtick, trying to shotgun approach some things that these people would respond to, right?
Yeah, that's true. So first of all, I don't know a ton about psychic work. Okay, it's always seemed a little bit sketchy to me. It may be true. We'll see. At some point, I'm sure we'll do some research on it. But here's the issue that I have. I've seen people who are really effing good at this.
Sure.
And who do cold readings and are able to, like, in my opinion, probably fake, but make it seem like they are completely connected to the person that they are reading.
Well, John Edwards is an amazing cold reader.
Right. This was not good. I feel like I could have gone in and done that good of a job. Like it was shitty.
It was not good, and I think that's why they led with it. I want to back up just a little bit with the Hamilton Parker family thing. I feel like Craig is dragging her into this because he's the one that's authoring these books. He's the one that's like the face of this psychic family, and he has this really interesting story about how they were destined to meet. They had a past life together. And they both, before they met, had this reoccurring dream of, or so they say, that they were being chased by soldiers and dogs. It was during the medieval times. They were running for their lives. They passed a moat and ran into the woodland. They think that they were in France. But at some point in their dream, they believed that they were beheaded together in their past life. They claim to have matching scars, one of the daughters and the husband and wife, on the back of their neck where it would have been cut. That's what they used to sort of say that they were destined to be together. Great story, but it's obviously total horseshit.
Yeah.
He was told by another psychic that he was destined to marry a woman named Jane on a certain day, and they were going to have one kid. And sure enough, he probably bullied her into that being true.
I thought they have 2 kids.
They do have 2. I believe one was from a previous marriage. I don't remember exactly. Because honestly, how much do you want to know about these guys? There's something else.
They're lame.
They're not
okay,
great.
So after this initial seance, then we get into the second one, which was, I think, at least a little bit better. Still felt like absolute bullshit.
Opened my mind to the spirit side, and I asked for the spirit people to influence my thoughts. So my thoughts pick up feelings, pictures, I hear it sometimes, and a combination of all those things hopefully will help me to bring some information together to give us some evidence to prove that the spirit people continue and that there's no such thing as death.
Craig is very good at this.
I think he just looks really good compared to Jane.
Yeah.
I still don't think he's great. He's undoubtedly better than Jane.
Well, the people he had around the table were definitely more involved with Diana, but still very peripherally.
Still people that she likely wouldn't remember the name of.
Well, no. Louise Reed Carr, who comes back again in Séance 3, she was Diana's personal assistant. And I think that's...
Yeah, but for like how long?
Yeah, who knows?
And one of how many personal assistants? Like, I got the sense that she almost worked in an office of assistants for Princess Diana. You know what I mean?
There's a handful of people who manage what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Gerard Kenny, who is a composer who wrote a lullaby for Prince Harry once.
So fucking stupid.
Very cool. Get him around the table. James Thoreau, who is the palace culinary manager. He's not even a chef. He just manages the chefs, which that was, I mean, the whole thing is just so strange. These are like tabloid
let's
people.
find
They're like
the 3 million people that came into contact with her at some point in their lifetime, and let's see who sticks.
Yeah, well, these are the people they could get. And like, you did a little research on the reception. Like, people weren't thrilled about this happening.
No, it was very disrespectful because people worship Princess Di, apparently, and they were none too happy. Basically, they felt like it was sullying her name. They were pretty respectful in the show, but there certainly was discussion of like the rumors that she was carrying
a baby,
that she was actually dating this guy to make another guy jealous. So when it aired on television, the seance scenes shot in London have been cut in line with good taste guidelines set down by the Independent Television Commission.
So originally pay-per-view, and then it went to TV, but in an extremely redacted form.
Yeah, and there was also people were upset they weren't supposed to show anything having to do with the occult on TV.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
But they're like all about witches and shit over there, right?
ITC guidelines, here they go. This is what it says, Byron. Occult practices, such as those involving supposed contact with spirits or the dead, are not acceptable in factual programming, except in the context of a legitimate investigation.
Sounds legit to me.
No, it was not legit. This was absolute bullshit.
It was supervised by an academic specialist in the world of psychic phenomena and seances, whatever that means. Seance 2 in the main hall. Again, I think Craig is a lot better at this because he immediately pinpointed Gerard as being from New York, which he does maybe look like a New Yorker from 2003. That's easy.
Also, if you meet an American and you guess that they're from New York
or LA.
Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ.
That's your cold reading technique. That he was in the film industry, which makes sense because I imagine the people related to Diana in that way were more than likely in some sort of entertainment field.
Also, P.S., we're just taking on faith that they didn't know who these people were going in.
They did say
Keep
that at least Jane didn't meet anyone in the room before the actual seance. They did not say that about Craig.
They say though.
Yes, it's all
like,
they say.
Even that.
Kelly, I'm the they say guy.
Yeah, I know, but like we have nothing. They could have put a lot of different safeguards in place to make that a more believable they say, and they really didn't.
Amazingly, though, Craig does say that this man, Gerard, wrote a lullaby for one of Diana's children. I thought that was a really interesting cold read.
If it was cold.
I think so. But there's also, because Candle in the Wind's been playing on my mind all the time too, so would it be possibly with the music side of it too connected here?
Yes.
She would want to say to you that the lullaby that you wrote is very special to her heart to this day.
Wonderful.
Right. One of the most important things to her is her children, of course. And I think that lullaby, again, I have to say, the lullaby that you wrote has become a memory for her and a memory for the children. And I feel that she wants to say thank you for that, because you often...
Because this is very private. I mean, this was something specifically just for her that she had and told me that when she played it in the nursery that it was...
But she just wants you to know how important those little things are.
I thought that was pretty cool. That was a good cold read. It is still absolutely nothing, though. Like it didn't answer any questions. Then brings up a torn up menu to James.
Right. So can I say we're changing it all? It must be the menus I'm tearing up then. Yeah. And it's we change everything all the time. And it must have been absolutely infuriating for you. And you're all the time saying, yes, that's fine, that's fine. And she knew the person behind it all. Did you actually do something where you would perhaps, I get the feeling of like showing, almost saying, I'll show you how to fry an egg, or something like that?
The connection is that I used to deal mainly with the chefs.
Right.
And the chefs deal with Diana. But Diana was always there.
Overseeing
what they did.
Right, I'm surprised as me actually.
Very much a hands-on.
She's doing it because she takes a genuine interest in these things.
Very much so.
And likes to have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Because I think your observation of her, which would be very different to other, everybody has their personal observations of a person, but you would see there a very domestic sort of person.
Yes.
And that's the quality that you saw in her and admired most.
Yes.
You understood her particularly from this domestic side, this gentle side with her, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
He went on to talk about how they had a no dogs in the kitchen entrance, and
obviously they did. Like, fucking Christ.
Interesting moments that he's pulling, but I guess you're right. They're probably all obvious things. The kitchen manager, James, was given a rolled up piece of paper, like a scroll.
Was there a rolled piece of paper or something that they gave you as a thank you, which is a written, almost like a parchment roll that you roll open like the old-fashioned?
There was.
Right.
There was.
And I think that she has actually handled that. It may have been her that gave it to you, but she's had a connection with that to make sure that you got that.
It was a menu that was an Italian menu.
Her idea.
Yeah, I it's all cold reading, Kelly. I don't know what we're doing here.
I mean, I do think if you read about people that do this, who knows, maybe there are legitimate ones out there, and I just haven't researched it enough. You know, it could be just like the way I view Bigfoot, where a lot of the quote-unquote sightings are bullshit, and there are a few real ones. This could be the same thing, but for the people that fake this, it's just a matter of being able to read people. I mean, I've often thought I could probably do a significant degree of this.
How do you feel about the Louise stuff, though? You've been critical so far, but there was a moment in this conversation that I think stood out, saying that Louise would write the schedules.
I'm seeing papers where you connected somehow with writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, she's given it to me because she says writing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
saw she says writing with you. So I see. But I also see it in typed form. You're writing the schedules and things like that, and what's got to come next and what we've got to do tomorrow and things like that. Would that be right?
Yes. Yes.
And
that was one of the things she did by the light of a window.
I don't know whether she stood by looking out the window as she tells you what's what, or vice versa. But we seem to be by the light of the window. We have to move over to the window to write these things down.
Yes, we
Does
would.
that make sense? Because it must have been quite gloomy in the rest of the building or something. So you spent many boring moments with Diana, she says to me with a smile, because you had to do all the dull stuff together and all the stuff that she had to get out of the way, all the preparation work.
Yes.
If she's a secretary,
That's what she's going to do.
like, it's such a freaking
But the pear drops, Kelly.
Something about sweets. Did we share sweets together?
That's very, very pertinent.
And she said, can I have one of your sweets?
I always had her favourite sweets.
So she's coming from the spirit side saying, give us a pear drop, will you?
Yeah. Well, I always had them for her, yeah.
It's the little things, isn't it? And you always remember you used to keep the pear drops in her pocket.
Just used to sneak them, yeah.
Yeah, so she'd sneak a pear drop off you. And she would only have that when... So that's you and her little secret, right?
That seemed kind of interesting, but that kind of falls into the category of
most offices have some kind of candy or snack in them.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's a fair guess that Diana was super conscientious about what she ate because
she was in the spotlight.
Right. And so again, like, that's just, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
UK listeners, tell me if pear drops are the equivalent to like M&Ms here, because everyone's got M&Ms on the desk, you know.
Or like the little wrapped up strawberries or fucking mints or like goddamn mini size Hershey's bars. Like, it's just
Man, I really put you through it this week, and I am so sorry.
It's okay.
It's fine. They conclude the second seance after giving us no real answers or additional information about Diana.
Nothing.
By saying that there's so much sadness surrounding her death, but she's saying that she's fine and happy, and that people should forget the conspiracy.
If she has any message to give, it's to forget about all these theories about conspiracies and things. It just creates more pain and suffering for everybody. All that is by the by. I think she did have fears about things like being bugged. I think maybe she spoke to you about that. But
He did briefly sneak in that she had fears about being bugged, which I thought was a weird thing to add and then sort of just jump over. But that she loved her boys and wanted them to know that mom's okay.
Well, he's putting seeds out there so that no matter what a person's perspective is on what happened to her, they'll be like, oh, yeah. Appeals to everybody.
Yeah, and it's a theme that just kind of continues throughout this whole thing, is that she's okay, that she's happy.
She's okay, and she loves her boys.
She loves her boys.
When they were doing the ride through and like driving through, following the path that she followed the night she crashed.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that. Before the seances,
it was so lame.
Craig and Jane were driving the path that Diana took the day of her death, and
Byron.
Yes, I'm so sorry. What?
I just looked down. I'm not recording.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So I didn't have time to record a new Spring Hill Jack coffee ad this week, and I don't want to hear the coronavirus one again, and I know you probably don't either. It's been several months at this point, but I'm just going to wing it. Spring Hill Jack coffee is good. I like it when it is brewed. Jamie, I'm recording a Spring Hill Jack ad real quick. What do you think of it? Should give me a thumbs up. You'll let the cat in. This is why we can't do live ad reads. It tastes good. I like the way it makes me feels when I drink it. So you should buy it on Amazon or at springhilljack.coffee. How's that? It's okay. It's okay. You made it better. I love you too.
Okay, all right. I am now recording for real.
Okay.
So when they were driving,
yep,
they were driving the path that supposedly Princess Di followed the night that she died. They're like, oh, I can feel she's afraid. She's afraid.
Yeah.
And her last thought is for her boys. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
First of all, she didn't have a last thought because she lost consciousness in the tunnel and then died hours later in the hospital. And also, the last words that she said to the EMT were, "They killed me." And I think she was talking about her driver and her security. I think
is that real that those were, because I've heard that too, but is that pretty verified?
Her first thing that she said to an EMT, I believe, was, "My God, what's happened?" She didn't have her seatbelt on, and she slammed into the back of a car seat going 70 miles an hour. I don't think she had necessarily many real thoughts.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
It is very sad. It's very, very sad. One thing that bothers me about the comparison between this and the JFK assassination is, like, you could like JFK or not like him. He changed the world. Like, yes, Princess Di did some wonderful, lovely things, and she made, some great humanitarian efforts, but I don't think she's a JFK.
I don't think she had the room to be a JFK. She was, she was a princess, and even queens don't change policy. They're just there to be
to wear fun hats.
And I don't know, she had it really hard.
A lot of money.
The collapse of her marriage wasn't easy.
So what's the story with her marriage? Did she cheat or did he cheat?
He cheated on her, and the relationship was never good to begin with. So I don't want to talk about the hot goss around them, because I don't think that's really what the show's about. But
it isn't what the show's about. It isn't. I'm just curious more than
especially
anything.
Going into Séance 3 here, which isn't even really a séance, it's a channeling. And I think they did this because they realized that the first two things that they were promising were absolute bullshit.
Lame and boring.
Yeah.
I would have to say that the London seances were an overwhelming success, but there are still unanswered questions about Princess Diana's life.
And yielded nothing interesting. So they're like, okay, we got to get this really crazy lady in here.
The reason we're conducting 3 seances is so that we exhaust all avenues of possible contact with the other side.
And she's going to talk about being trained by, and I quote, a little Chinese man.
People would hand me books on psychism. They'd hand me books on crystals and stones. And I was at that point very skeptical about it and disbelieving. And then a friend asked me if I'd like to go see a channel, and we went to the channeling circle. I was fascinated by it, skeptical, disbelieving, and also fascinated by it. My first master teacher or spiritual teacher was a little Chinese man.
Sure, she did, and that's Patricia A. Bankins. This seance took place in Paris, closest to the tunnel. It's a hotel near the Eiffel Tower and the Thames River and the tunnel. So it's as close as they could get to the tunnel and still be set up in a hotel room, probably where they could not get arrested for obscenity, breaking the occult rules. This process is different from seance. It's channeling. This is how she described it, but I don't know if it's necessarily how all channeling goes. But you meditate and then you lift out of your body, she says, about 60 feet up.
You rose the hat it.
Yeah, and then the master comes down to do the channeling portion, and this is the little Chinese
I still
man.
don't really which is just weird.
Like, to me, I was expecting the presence of Diana to come into this woman's body, but no, it's the person that she studied under.
Right, why, what is he doing? I don't understand that.
He is the interpreter?
The medium? The medium?
It seemed like we're back to mediums, yeah. 4 women were invited to this situation.
Princess Diana was called the People's Princess, which is why we granted 4 women the opportunity to ask questions of Patricia and her spirit guide, Saint Germain. We have chosen 3 women from around the globe who loved and respected the princess to ask questions. From Vietnam, Ms. May Win Ngo. From Canada, Kathleen O'Hara. And from Paris, Martina Graham.
And because you need a, quote, love connection, they asked Louise, the personal assistant, back.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. Did they have an affair? Like, was Princess Di gay and they had an affair? Is
no,
that,
I don't think that's what they were implying. They're saying you need someone who has connected energy to the person you're channeling, I guess.
And the best they can do is somebody who worked in her personal support
Someone
office.
who filled out documents, yeah, and gave candy.
And had candy.
Yeah.
God.
And they start this thing by closing the circle and holding hands and said, Mother, Father, God, sacred ancestors, spirits of the 4 directions, we extend our circle down in the center of the heart of the mother, connecting with the crystalline core and bringing her energies up to the center in the circle to connect with our hearts.
I officially greet and call forth my beloved teacher, Saint Germain, asking that I might be a clear and perfect channel, acknowledging light is my guide in this dimension and in all others. Oh, amen. I'll see y'all later.
Then she's like, peace out, bitches. I'll see ya.
I'll see y'all later is what she ended with. This whole thing, absolutely absurd, but great television.
Yeah, this one was at least entertaining.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
It's nice to be here this evening. I know a lot of you came from a long way to get here. So, we'll ask questions, eh? I'll ask some questions also because I like to do that. So I like to go around in a circle, starting here and moving around.
They decide to answer questions clockwise in the path of the sun. Her face sure made it look like she was trying to look like a Chinese person, which I think is pretty racist. I didn't like this at all.
Yeah, that was really troubling. I agree with you.
She did this goofy voice and kept saying yes at the end of her sentences.
You may have your hand, please, and tell us your name.
My name is Queen.
Queen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very, very bad. I agree.
Squinted her eyes and had them like kind of go upward. It's problematic. But this is where they're claiming to give us answers of what Diana is thinking.
But so here's the thing. I mean, obviously there are 2 big things that all the Diana fans and royal obsessies want to know. They want to know, was she really murdered? And everybody seems to want to know, was she really in love with the guy she died with?
And that's why they shouldn't
Were they
have
actually in love?
Why were these the people who are supposed to be answering these questions? I want a police investigator or a conspiracy theorist.
And then it feels like even though this did piss off the British people, it feels like all the answers they gave were the answers to put things at peace and to keep people from questioning and worrying about this anymore. Like, no, she wasn't pregnant. Yes, of course she loved him.
Speaking of betrayal.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Speaking of betrayal.
Tell me your name, please.
Oh, Kathleen.
Kathleen.
I
How
just
are
want.
you this evening,
I'm fine.
Yes?
But I have a. Thank you.
All
But I
right.
have a question that has been bothering me for a long time in relation to Diana.
Yes?
Did Charles love her? I have my doubts.
No.
But the dumbest thing to me was when they asked whether it was an accident.
We know that somewhere in the circle, the question is also, was it truly an accident? I think the answer to that is that you really want to say it was destiny.
It was destiny.
Yeah,
that's not a fucking answer.
Was not the answer. She talks about the accident in relation to the question, was Diana in love with Dodi? And she said that yes, she was, but she loved lots of people. She fell in and out of love passionately. Would the love have lasted? No, it wouldn't. But then she goes on to say that it was destiny and that they're together in a past life and also maybe together now. I don't.
Yeah, again.
I don't get it. They did ask if she was pregnant at the time, like you said, and the person gave the correct answer, which is no, because during an investigation and in several autopsies, they were shown an empty womb. I believe that something about formaldehyde gave a false positive of a pregnancy test. There's all these conspiracy theories that I peripherally checked out.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
But they're talking about her love life and if she was happy, which are all these things that would belong in gossip magazines. Like, why do people care if Dodi and her were in love? They had just sort of started their relationship together.
Read the Bat Boy story instead. It's way better.
I agree. Far more interesting. Of course, like, her relationship with Prince Charles is interesting, but like, I would much rather know, was she killed? What is she?
Right, and they ask that essentially, and they just don't get an answer.
No.
Which is just annoying.
I mean, they thank goodness got our $3 with this, but they took $15 from a lot of people would be my guess.
And that was $15 in 2003,
Yeah.
which, remember, with inflation, that's got to be at least $20 now.
At least $20 from a lot of people. So this channeling ended with many blessings, great abundance, good health, and long life.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Yep. To me, it seems like they gave exactly the right answers to be sweet and kind and not say anything controversial whatsoever.
Well, Kelly, this is like the first Cryptids and Conspiracies where you are just full-blown naysayer the whole time. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, we haven't done Flat Earth yet.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That's going to be great.
Yeah, full-blown bullshit. And I'm not saying that everybody who does this is bullshit. This felt like absolute bullshit.
A lot of people thought it was exploitative to be approaching this at all. Seances, I thought that would be more spooky. This one was not spooky whatsoever.
Nope.
A couple years ago, like you said, the woman who had AIDS.
Lynn Francis, yeah.
She did pass on. And in 2015, the host, Patrick McKoy, also died at age 93 in California.
Damn.
Jane and Craig, they are still at it. They've got a website which they will gladly hook you up with a psychic reading performed by them or one of their incredibly talented other psychics. They have
a psychic farm.
But they have a pretty great YouTube page.
Welcome to my spiritual channel. My name is Craig Hamilton Parker. I've also been given the Indian name called Paraswaran, given to me by the Indian rishis in India. Anyway, I work with my wife Jane too, and we're both what you would call spiritualist mediums. We're quite well known for what we do. We've done lots of TV work all over the world, and we've even had our own TV series in the UK, and in America some stuff. And I've written many books, including a few bestsellers. So that's our credentials. But if you follow us and click the bell thingy below, you'll be informed about our weekly YouTube releases.
I think just 6 days ago they did an hour stream about haunted houses. They're still at it, so.
Very much so.
Patricia A. Bankins, though, she is currently selling crystals from Burbank, California on her website, The Crystal Matrix. She also offers crystal therapy, Reiki healing, and regression integration. I saw no mention of her Ascended Master. Maybe she's abandoned that.
Ooh,
but yeah,
scandal.
The stone of the month is Larimar.
Ooh, I don't know what that one is.
No
we'll
idea.
have to look it up. Interesting. You know what, though, Byron? You know what I'm thankful for this week? I'm thankful that the movie we watched was much scarier than the Séance with Princess Diana.
I'll give you that, and I say we probably should jump right into it.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about it.
And discuss Host.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
that we wasted an entire week researching a seance.
Oh no, that I'm fine with. I can't believe that I didn't record the first, whatever.
It's not like we just recently started a new syndication with Midnight.fm. Not important at all. Yeah,
no biggie.
Great. Showing
Not
off
at
our
all.
consistency
Totally
and quality.
fine. We're good.
Host is a 2020 independent found footage horror film directed by Rob Savage, based on a script by Savage, Gemma Hurley, and Jed Shepherd. 6 friends get together during lockdown for their weekly Zoom call. It's Haley's turn to organize an activity, and instead of a quiz, she's arranged for a medium to conduct a seance. Bored and feeling mischievous, Gemma decides to have some fun and invents a story about a boy in her school who hanged himself. However, their prank gives license for a demonic presence to cross over, taking on the guise of a boy in Gemma's made-up story. The friends begin noticing strange occurrences in their homes as the evil presence begins to make itself known, and they soon realize that they might not survive the night.
So, Byron,
Yeah.
there are things that I love.
Is that right?
I love ghosts.
Uh-huh.
I love found footage.
You love Zoom calls.
I love jump scares.
All right.
I love British accents.
I don't think they're British, would be my
Are
guess.
they Australian?
I think they're Australian.
Are they really?
I mean, the names are very Australian. Gemma, Emma, Radina, Teddy. UK. It's actually UK. I'm wrong. Country's in the UK.
Okay, thank God. I was like, I really thought.
That's my bad.
This movie has it all for me, and it's under an hour, so it's like this really fun, quick watch.
Amazing. 57 minutes. Shortest film, well, next to The Devil and Father Amor that we've ever covered on the show.
Yeah. And, okay, here's the funny thing. I think I told you this already, Byron, but I watched this at about 8:30 in the morning, sitting at the desk I have set up on our front porch, broad daylight morning time, and I physically jumped at least 6 times.
Okay, so did you have headphones on during this?
Yes.
You did watch
so
it
I
on
looked
your
like
laptop.
a crazy person.
So that is probably the perfect way to watch this film. And I know when I guess way back when we reviewed Unfriended, I said how bizarre it was to watch that kind of film in the theater. Watching a monitor horror film, it should be on a monitor and it should be with headphones. So I recommend that right now. That's not how I watched it. It was a bit of a disservice to the project.
It was really fun with headphones. And there were a few times where I was like, wait, what was that? And I rewound it a few seconds. It's all the things that I talk about a lot. So we've got these friends that get together. Through the screen, we have the venue for spookiness without the need for having a bunch of high special effects, because you can show stuff through a grainy screen cam in the dark and get enough to scare a person without showing too much.
Yeah.
And for me, that's like the recipe to scare the hell out of myself. So I really enjoyed it. I actually thought the characters they had were pretty fun. Haley, for some reason, is the only one with an English or an American accent.
Yeah.
Gemma, who's obviously a smart ass. We've got
She's
Emma.
the wild card. I like her.
Emma's like Baby Spice.
Oh no, we're doing this again? Tabloids in the UK?
Yeah, well, I guess. Radina's in like a complicated relationship because it sounds like she had just started living with this person when things went into lockdown.
Yeah, I've heard lots of stories of people who start relationships during lockdown, and it's just not a good recipe.
It's been challenging.
Yeah. I mean,
so it was cool. It touched on those things. So we've got Caroline, who's sweet but a bit freaked out.
Yeah.
And she lives with her dad, and it's a cool group of characters. They don't spend too much time with the exposition there, which is nice because we only have an hour.
I think they do a good job though of introducing all the characters and showing who they are, which is
And I think they do a good job of setting up the plot, because it's what I say so frequently. Like, Haley has organized this little seance. She is begging. She's saying, okay, you guys, you have to take this seriously, because if you don't, it's just like, it's disrespectful. And then whoever she is, the medium, Salen,
yeah.
Yeah. She says, you need to be respectful. You need to, and
because you don't have the
obviously
protection of being in a circle. You're on this Zoom call.
You're more vulnerable. Yeah. And obviously Gemma reminds me, it's like something Sam would do, right? Like just being a total smartass.
Yeah, Gemma's
and making up a story. That's what lets something in. And this is what I'm always telling you guys. This is why I say we should never fuck with a Ouija board, because you guys don't take it seriously, and by doing that, it just invites all sorts of bad juju.
Kelly, you show me a news article where people died mysteriously after using a Ouija board, and I will start taking it seriously because there's no evidence of it actually doing
Find
anything.
it.
Please,
I'll find it. I'll find something.
Find it. I think
Okay.
have we done a Ouija
Okay.
episode? I think we may
did.
have.
Did we?
I don't know. I'll have to go
remember.
back.
Too many episodes, Byron.
Yeah, so Gemma, though, when she hops on the call with Haley for the first time, she does it on her computer and phone simultaneously, and it starts feeding back. And there's a quote, "You have to mute the phone audio." And Jamie looked at me, my girlfriend, said, "That is some Kelly shit right there," which made me laugh
It's
very
true.
hard.
It's very true.
Because
it's very, very true.
I mean, you're very good at a lot of things. Technology is not necessarily one of those things.
No, I don't think it is. I think that's fair.
And then there's a comment, another like character development comment. Radina starts coughing and everyone goes, "Oh."
Which is exactly, I mean, it's a very topical movie. I don't know that it will make as much sense to people in a decade, but it's pretty fun right now.
I think it's a great time capsule of this period that we're in.
Yeah.
In fact, Rob Savage in early 2020 shot this in quarantine after he had this idea of investigating strange sounds in his attic while on a group chat with others, which does sound like maybe it could have been a VHS short, but he expanded it into this, which it's something truly unique. And I think it's really interesting that Shudder grabbed it. And in fact, Sam Zimmerman, our good buddy at Shudder, the curator, is a producer on this.
It's great.
This is the perfect platform.
It was a fun movie. And
Yeah.
so Gemma makes up this story. Then they get cut off with
Salem.
With Salem, the seance leader. And then shit starts to get really weird.
Like we talked about it during the little opening, room for a demon to come in. By creating this fake story, it gives them a mask, which I love this.
I know we don't want to do a lot of spoilers, and I don't want to spoil any of the jump scares because I think they're really fun and spooky. But there is a really cool. One of my favorite things about found footage is when they find new ways to use new technology in spooky manners. And my kids have had a lot of fun over quarantine with the mask features on Zoom and on TikTok, where you can make it look like you have an alien mask on, or you can make it look like you have an old person. Yep. Or a kitty cat, right? They use this in a fabulous way.
Mm-hmm.
The way that software works is it picks up,
detects face.
It detects a face and it puts it on the face. We're seeing this room and there's nothing there, but there's that face floating there, which means the camera has detected that there is some being with a face there, even if we can't see it. And I thought that was awesome. I thought that was a really cool, fun thing.
Completely agree. That's a really unique scare, and it works very well in this format. There are a couple scares that I don't think were fully unique, but I thought were really great. There's some huge nods to Paranormal Activity. The flower on the floor and the cabinets thing, that was such a nod to Paranormal.
Yep. And even the up in the attic,
Sure.
That was something that came up in Paranormal. Even like the glitching screens, which they used more towards the end.
That's
to
an unfriended
indicate,
thing, for sure.
That was really fun.
The Zoom background scare might be one of my favorite scares of the year.
Yeah.
It was so specific and so effective. That reminded me a lot of Unfriended, sort of the head slamming stuff, but they did it in a really interesting, very specific way. I liked it a lot.
This was one of the most enjoyable horror movies I've watched in a while. Perfect. Just your perfect quarantine movie. Obviously, they turned this thing around pretty damn quick because it's so topical. I think for something that they churned out that quickly, they did a damn good job with it.
One last thing I think that is very Zoom specific that I thought was great, that sort of ramped up the tension of the movie. The running out of time, meeting will end in 10 minutes that flashes on screen. For people who use Zoom, that's
for free.
If you're using it free, this thing pops up and says that the call's going to end in 10 minutes. So it kind of lets you know we're entering the intense third act portion of this film.
And even the credits, the way they rolled the credits.
God, that was so cool.
It was so cool. It was just such a fun movie.
The credits are displayed as the participants in the Zoom call, which, did you notice how many of those people were digital effects?
No, I was
Huge
just super...
number. There's so many drags, which are very practical effects, but then also there's, I'm probably going to beep this, the neck break poop drop, which was probably one of my favorite kills.
It was awesome because that lady was a bitch.
I don't know, man. I wish more films were 57 minutes. Am I old? Probably. That's probably why I'm enjoying this more breakneck, compacted film. But
Well, it was just, it would have sucked if they tried to stretch it to 120. It just would have.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was a perfect pace. Also, one last side note on the casting, which I thought was kind of adorable. Caroline's dad played Caroline's dad.
Oh, I mean, most of these people are playing basically themselves.
Right, they are. But like her dad played her dad.
Yeah.
And I thought that was adorable. I always love it when that happens in movies. I mean, this... anybody who hasn't seen this, just go watch it right now.
Shudder. Yeah. Go to Shudder, get an account. I don't believe the Frightday promo code is working anymore. I will reach out to them and see if we could get that back. But I believe if you use promo code SHUTIN, you get 30 days free.
It's just great. It's a really fun movie.
And honestly, just go pay for their service because what they're doing at Shudder is incredible.
And it's cheap. People, it's cheap.
It is cheap, but I know times are tough. And
times are tough. This is true. Sell a couple things on Poshmark, pay for Shudder.
All right.
Host was a spectacularly fun, unexpected movie and shows exactly how you can successfully do a low-budget topical found footage. I have no doubt that there are going to be others that kind of try to use the same formula, but I am hoping that we see Mr. Savage come up with some equally unique spins on the found footage genre, because though some people are over it, I am certainly not. It brought me back to the glory days of when I watched Paranormal Activity and was more scared than anything ever the first time. If I can be scared in broad daylight watching this, I think it should at least spook you guys a little bit. And it's only an hour. Again, great format, great movie, super fun, good acting, great little jump scares. Oh boy. And for all those reasons and more, I give Host 8.1 glasses of Séance wine.
Found footage is not dead, obviously. Rob Savage has done a good job of solidifying that. You know me. I'm the guy that talks sound, score, and cinematography for the most part. I cannot do that with this. But I love monitor horror. I think that this is such an interesting subgenre that people don't approach very much. And I think mostly it's because they don't have an interesting story. The concept that they brought to the table, I think is really, really cool. It does get silly at points when, they can't get in touch with Salen and Salen doesn't do much to help. It is not a twisty film.
No.
But what it lacks in plot, it makes up for in meanness and great kills and really sort of well-acted characters. I thought this was such a fun film. It's just what I needed right now. I gotta give Host 8.5 minutes left on that Zoom call.
Love it.
Those are our thoughts on Host, which is available now on Shudder. Go sign up, go watch this, and once you have, let us know what you think about it.
Please, please.
Tweet us or Instagram us at Frightday on those. Leave a comment below this episode in the show notes at frightday.com. You could write us an email, contact@frightday.com if you have some bigger thoughts, or we can have a big discussion about it in the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Frightday.
Tell me how awful I am for not caring about Princess Di.
Don't give Kelly too much shit about not recording her end again because we're professional.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. It's because you told me to stop after the first thing you recorded.
Well, you said 3, 2, 1 going after that, but it's okay. We're professionals. We can get through it.
I'm sorry.
If you like our show and want to help us make it even better, grab something spooky at shop.frightday.com. I am working on a mini Bohemian Grove drop that should come out sometime in the future. But until
Grove, woo!
Until then, get your spooky friends a gift. They need it. And the post office needs it as well. Let's support them because
please do. God, please.
A bit of an attack on the USPS, and I don't want to ship through UPS or FedEx. Come on now. Lots of stuff. T-shirts, pins, patches, cassette tapes, all kinds of stuff at shop.frightday.com. My yapping trap is about to stop.
Yeah.
Our voices continue at patreon.com/Frightday. Big changes starting there. If you go right now, it may look a bit cryptic, but all will be revealed on August 26th. Our plans for relaunch of our Patreon page. So it's going to be something else. I was talking to Kelly a little bit about this before the show, and she said that I sounded like a broken person. So
you do sound broken, but broken in an excited way.
Patreon.com/Frightday, the place where you can get bonus episodes of Captain Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies, Byron Serial Corner, The Writer's Room, Cinema Autopsy, Toast to Toast PM, weekly episodes of Behind the Screams. We just got done recording our Tom DeLonge episode. Lots more stuff coming your way. Patreon.com/Frightday. most helpful of all, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We got a couple great ones this week. This is from Dream Damage, Sensory Overload, 1 star. I want to pluck my own ears out after listening to this. I can only imagine that we did the damage to his dreams with our podcast.
Woo woo.
And now he's feeling bad about it. We also got one from a Comic Review, 5 stars. Kelly is hysterical. Reading the reviews, hating on the absolutely silly Kelly is the worst thing about this podcast. No one is forcing you to listen. Stop being mean. Love this podcast. You guys are awesome and I enjoy it from start to finish. You complete me. That's a very nice one.
You complete us.
And that completes our show.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to be out of town for a little bit, so we're going to treat you to an old classic format.
Weird week.
It's been a weird week. Next week, look forward to that. And then we're coming back with, we've got some great options. Spree is in the can, but there's a lot of films coming out. Let us know what you want us to cover in the Facebook group or tweet us at Frightday on Twitter. But yeah, until then, Kelly, where are you going to be?
At Kelly Frightday on Twitter. You can email me, kelly@frightday.com. See if you can find me on Instagram.
Do your best. I'm at Byron McKoy on Twitter and Instagram. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. Don't forget to go to frightday.com. Our writers are doing some really great stuff there. Check out those articles and share them on social media. That helps us a lot too. But until next Frightday, I'm Byron.
I'm Kelly.
Stay scared. You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McKoy, theme music provided by Cemeteries. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.